Hey everybody, welcome back to the Salerno podcast. This is episode 103. As always, I'm your host, Vince Salerno, and on today's episode, I am interviewing a very good and old friend of mine, author Nicholas M. Krohn. Nick is a writer, independent author, most notably known for his ongoing series, Heroes and Thieves, as well as the Scoefield series, as well as many, many other books he has written and produced. Now, me as a filmmaker who's not really plugged into the publishing industry, let alone the independent author publishing industry, the number of books Nick has produced and published is not really uncommon, apparently. But to me, hearing the number of books he's produced in just 1 year, let alone his entire career, is nothing short of impressive to me. Not just as a fellow independent artist, but as his friend. I am so proud of him, and I'm honored to have him on this show and showcase his work so that you guys can hopefully take an interest in the Heroes and Thieves stories, all his other work. I highly recommend you check it out. He's got the Protector edition of Heroes and Thieves, which includes the first 2 books in that series. It's available right now. It might be a great Christmas gift. So if you're looking at Christmas, we're coming up on the holiday seasons, consider checking out Heroes and Thieves, the Protector edition from Nicholas M. Krohn. And without further ado, here is my interview with my good friend, Nick Krohn. Nick, welcome to the podcast. This has been a long time coming, and I'm happy to have you on.
Well, it is an honor to be here. I'm excited.
As am I. For those who don't know, Nick and I, we grew up together. What high school is that when it started? Middle school?
I think it started in middle school. Yeah, that's when we started to get to know each other.
Yeah, sitting on the bus and having varied conversations about art and media and superheroes and debates about Protestants versus Catholicism.
Actually, Baptists are not Protestants, but yes, definitely.
I apologize. That was a bad assumption on my part.
That's okay. That's what everyone thinks. It's a long-standing thing.
Yes, I apologize. But yeah, Nick is one of my oldest friends, and it just so happened that both of us ended up taking the artistic career path in our lives, and you're like really sticking to it. Not even just like sticking to it, but you're an independent, multi-published author.
Yep, but unless you make it big, we both chose the path that has the least amount of money in it. It's because we're the dreamers.
Yeah. Well, you're doing more than I am. I mean, like I haven't made a movie since 2021, I think. Yeah, 2021. And even then, that movie, unfortunately, was only halfway shot and will probably never see the light of day because I don't have a single frame of footage. Yeah, it's a long story. I'll have to tell you off the air. But I mean, actually, I don't mind getting on it now. But basically, yeah, we both chose harder path. But I don't know. Like, I guess as a independent author, is there hope? Do you ever hope that you will get like picked up by like a publishing company? I'm not sure how it works for authors when it comes to like representation and stuff like that. But do you hope that you'll get like picked up officially by some sort of publishing company?
Well, so I don't. I mean, short answer, no. I don't expect that, and I don't really want that either. The way that it works is that traditional publishers will only really want you if you have a large following, and they almost will never republish an already published book because you've already gotten most of the sales that you're going to get. So basically, they'd just be kind of wasting money on you. And authors, it's such a large crowd of people that are trying to all clamor for the spotlight, so to speak, that they have to be very careful in who they pick. So that's why usually you'll see a lot of like big name people hitting like, selling thousands, if not millions of copies really easily. Like Tom Hanks, I think, wrote a book several years back, and it was like everyone bought a copy. But
it makes sense the way you describe it. That Tom Hanks would probably sell a book a lot easier than Nicholas M. Krohn, who unfortunately no one's really heard of. But it is kind of a shame because I don't know if it ever used to be this way, where things were like follower based or social media based. But I guess that's kind of the benefit and the drawback of this new kind of era we're in with technology, is that if you have a following and you've developed that following and you've curated that following, if you have a product, you can very easily promote that product. And if you're starting out, like someone in like my case or your case, we're promoting a product of some kind, it takes a while because we're both doing it by ourselves. We can't really afford to pay people to do this, because I know that if you have a following and you hit it off on the internet, there are people who will pay a lot of money to pick you up and do all the work for you. You just have to do what you love. And yes, that would be the dream. That would absolutely be perfect. But props to you for persevering even without those resources. I know better than anybody how hard that can be.
Well, when it comes to traditional publishing, it would be absolutely wonderful to just have to worry about writing. And that's what I tried to do at the beginning, is I tried to get my first two books traditional publishing. But after the query trenches, as many of us call them, and it can be very discouraging because, as I said before, there's just a huge amount of people that are all trying to get a literary agent, so they really can only pick the very best one. But I also realized that with doing traditional publishing, they are in control, at least in part, of your story. And self-publishing, you can do whatever you want. And I want to tell my stories how I believe they should be told. And I don't want to feel like, oh, you need to add this in because people want this kind of media nowadays, or you can't say that because, whatever have you. I want to be able to tell my stories how they should be told. And I think that's more important.
Yeah. I think that probably, if you have good storytelling sensibilities, which I believe you do, because I just know that, we've talked stories like ad nauseum, growing up.
Definitely.
But if you know story, then I feel like that's going to naturally come out. And then it just comes down to like, are your ideas compelling enough for an audience? And if you have the creative control to tell your stories the way you want, the cards will fall where they may. But I think that's a really important thing to value, is your I guess maybe another way of putting it is like your autonomy as a storyteller, your ability to create a story that's not shackled by what a studio executive is going to say, or what a publishing company or agency is going to say. Like, oh, that's too, like, we live in a very politically correct culture, and I think we're backing away from that a little bit, but we're still in this culture where like everything has to be the most unoffensive thing on the planet, which I think breeds probably the worst stories, in my opinion.
Oh yeah. Yeah, because then if you're trying to please everybody, it's the same kind of concept of being in a war and wearing both uniforms of the enemy sides. Both people will shoot at you.
That's hilarious. That's a great analogy. I think you said earlier, you said you're not going to see Superman, or you haven't
No,
seen
I just
Superman.
haven't. I just
Oh,
haven't.
okay.
Basically, when you have three kids and none of them can really see anything in the theater, especially PG-13 stuff, it's very difficult to go see new movies. We were able
Yes.
to sneak in for Jurassic Park or Jurassic World Rebirth, but it's probably going to be a long while till we see anything else in the theaters. So we're definitely
Yeah.
going to see Superman, but probably when it comes out. It's just
No
parenting, you
problem.
know.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I get you. I'm only. I had to see both Fantastic Four and Superman by myself because
Mm.
I was able to see the movies before work primarily, but it's not fun because I would prefer to see them with my wife and just
Oh
bring
yeah.
my sons to go see them. But one of them was born like a month ago, and the other is only 2 years old. But he loves Superman, so it's a shame. um, but yeah, so I haven't seen Jurassic World yet. Seven or that's the
Yeah, I
seventh
think
one, right?
I think it's a
Yeah.
seven. Yeah.
What did you think of it?
All right. Now there's going to be people that disagree with me, but usually I'm more of the kind of guy where it's like, did I enjoy the movie? Yes or no? And I would definitely say yes. There are a lot of people out there because my wife has actually been looking on the public opinion of it that say it's like it's better than the last two, but it's not as good as the original ones. And I'm like, I think it's up there with the original. It definitely gave me that feel of like the original, like wonder and also terror of the
Mm,
Jurassic World, Jurassic Park series. I don't think it's better, like, because my two favorite Jurassic Park movies would be obviously the first one, and then the Jurassic World with the first one with Chris Pratt. That one's actually my favorite.
yeah.
Um,
Oh,
but I'd definitely say
I'd
that
say those are
this,
my two favorites as well.
yeah, they're both good.
Those are
But I
the
would
only two
say
I
that,
have in my DVD collection.
oh, really? I've got all of them. So actually,
Nice.
I think I've had them over here. No, not
I forget.
currently. We're
Are you a big
binge
fan of
watching.
that franchise in particular?
Uh, I like dinosaurs, but I'm not super into it because I just don't like watching people die horrible deaths,
Yeah,
especially like the
that's
Dilophosaurus. I hated the Dilophosaurus. It scared me so much as a kid.
which one was that?
The first movie with
Oh,
what was his name?
in the van.
Oh yeah, that was awful. I think it gave me nightmares. Um,
Yeah, with Al's Toy Barn, right?
yeah, Nedry. I think his name is Nedry in the movie, something
Yeah,
like that.
yeah. I
But
forget
yeah,
the
like
actor's name, but
it's the worst way to die. And I found it in the book. It's like 10 times worse. And I'm not that kind of guy. Like the book is like horror. The movie is definitely thriller. The book is straight on horror, and I'm like, no.
yeah, yeah.
But
Well,
yeah, I do
I'm
like the
glad to hear you
series.
enjoyed it.
Oh yeah. Um, there was one big flaw that now that I know about it, I can't unsee it. But I don't know if I want to tell everybody because I don't want them to have the same feeling where it's like, well, now I can't unsee it. But I
Mhm.
did really like the what they're calling the Distortus Rex because it really felt monster movie. And I mean technically all of the Jurassic Park movies are like monster movies, but this one really felt like a monster. And
Mhm.
I'm not trying this. I'm like really trying not to spoil anything. Not like there's actually huge spoilers or anything, but like it just felt like this is a creature that cannot be stopped, kind of thing. This is something you
Yeah,
run from.
is that the dinosaur that's like a mix between the Rancor from Star Wars and the Xenomorph from Aliens?
Yeah, yeah. That's what I thought too. It's like it does look like a rancor.
I think that's what Gareth Edwards, the director, I think that's what his intention was. Like, is we just mesh those two together and we create a new mutated dinosaur.
Well, actually, here's the thing though. It makes logical sense, which I am big. I'm really big about everything making logical sense. I love it when everything
Mhm.
comes together like that because the dinosaurs that they encounter on this island They do encounter a T-Rex at some point, which that's in the trailer, like it's just normal T-Rex, and then they also encounter the what are they called? A Titanosaurus, I think it's called. It's basically the biggest dinosaur ever, and it's like a long neck dinosaur.
Mm.
But if you look at it, it almost looks like the D-Rex is like a combination of the T-Rex and the Titanosaurus. Like they were just trying to make a really, really big T-Rex Titanosaurus hybrid because it has 4 arms, but those 2 front arms, the really big ones, look more like the Titanosaurus legs. And then it has that like head thing that's actually shaped a lot like the Titanosaurus. So it's like, it just looks like they were trying to make a hybrid of it and it went really bad.
Yeah.
And so that is like, that makes logical sense to me. So I like it. Yeah. Man,
Yeah.
that thing is scary though. It looks.
It is pretty terrifying in the trailers, I will say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I avoided it, and not avoided it, but I wasn't really interested because I just feel like that particular franchise has kind of run out of steam. But if you're recommending it, I might give it a chance.
I liked it. Not everybody did, but I will say this, and I don't know if this will ever get to anyone's ears that deals with Dress World, but I really think this should be the last movie because they'd have to come up with some great excuse or like some great story finagling to really make it because it felt like a good ending. It's like I don't really
Yeah,
feel like they could kind of continue this on because then it would just. I mean, I feel like this one might have been a cash grab, but it was really well done cash grab. But anything
yeah. I
beyond
feel
this
like they
is going
wouldn't
to be
have.
it's going to be like
No,
Jaws
sorry. Go ahead.
3
Go
or
ahead.
something like that.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like
Yeah,
they wouldn't have called it Rebirth if they didn't intend to revitalize the franchise in some way. But we'll see.
maybe
I
they
guess if that
do.
actually happens.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, yeah, I want to transition into the main reason why we're here is to talk about your books and stuff. So,
Yeah.
you've published a impressive amount of books as an independent author, and just
Thank you.
yeah, the floor is yours. Tell us about your works.
Oh, I could talk for days on this, so I will try to not do that. But I will. I'll try to make it a little bit shorter. Oh man. Well, as a kid, I always liked telling stories. It was funny because, like, when I was young enough, I was around a lot of kids that were, gullible enough to actually believe the stories that I told them were real accounts. So I was very much a like prolific liar as a kid. Um, but then I transitioned from that to like I just really like telling stories. 6th grade is when it really started taking off because my English teacher, she would have every week we would do a new vocabulary, and she's like, "All right, and I want you to write a sentence with it." I wouldn't write a sentence; I would write a paragraph, and it would just be something like, I mean, I think one of them was like based off of Narnia. I don't remember what the word was, but I like made this. It's like as he rode into battle with his sword glinting off the sun, and stuff like that. And she's just reading through these little cards that are like have these huge paragraphs on them. She's like, I feel like you have a story to tell. And that impacted me. So one day I went home and my mom, she liked to do this every now and again where she's like, we're going to take a week off from movies because, sometimes you just need a break from movies. And I had a computer, big dinosaur, like 97 Windows, I think it was. It was a big computer, very heavy. And it only had like Paint and Microsoft Word on it. So I would sit on there and I would do Paint a lot. But then that kind of registered with me. My teacher said, I think you have a story to tell. And I just started writing. And I will tell you, the first several manuscripts were awful. But that's the thing about anything that
First,
you
usually
pick up.
are.
Yeah. Anything you start doing, it starts out bad. But after so long, I started putting something together. And I realized I really liked creating worlds, as most authors come to find out that they love to do. And to make a very long story a little shorter, one day on one of my movie fasts that my mom put in. Because she said the computer is fine because you can go and write stuff. Because I started doing that, but most of the stuff never came to fruition. And I started writing. I had this idea in my head because, and this will always stick with me, because the last movie I had seen was Sinbad, Legend of the Seven Seas, or something like that, with Brad Pitt playing Sinbad. And apparently it didn't do well. It was DreamWorks, and it apparently didn't do well, but I liked the movie. And I
I didn't
remember
know that was Brad Pitt.
You didn't?
I didn't know that. No.
Yeah, check it out. You can tell it's his voice.
Nice. I'll have to check it out. Yeah.
There's this one line in the movie that really stuck with me, where Sinbad is meeting, these fancy people from Syracuse, and he meets Marina, which later becomes his love interest and whatnot. And she says to him, "So first you try to rob Proteus, and then you save his life. So, are you a thief or a hero?" And I was like, a thief or a hero? Like, I liked the contrast, because usually the contrast is more villain or hero. And I was liking that it was thief and hero, because most thieves are villains. But it just, I don't know, it really stuck with me. And so I just typed in 3 words on this manuscript, and it was heroes and thieves. And as this, and it's starting to come together, because I love medieval era. And like, I was looking back on it today. It's so funny because the medieval era stunk, man. Like, literally stunk, actually, in some cases. But it was just an awful time for Europe. But like, we romanticize it so much nowadays. Anyway, but I start writing this, and I'm like putting these together. I'm like, a medieval thief, a knight, and a princess all stuck together on a journey. And I just threw those 3 characters together. And my brother walks into the room, and he looks, and because he'd seen me do this before, where I'd start a new project, and he said, "Give it up, Nick. You're never going to finish it." And I happened to be in like one of these chairs, in these swivel chairs, and I just dramatically like turn around, like Darth Sidious style, to him, and I just go like, "I'm going to prove you wrong." And I did.
Nice. I thought you were going to say, "I thought I told you to wait on the command ship."
Yes, good. Let the hate flow through you, older brother.
Nice.
Yeah.
So that's where the title came from, Heroes and Thieves. I had no idea.
Yes.
That's fantastic.
That was the first project, but eventually, and later on, when I was watching the Avengers, back in like 2011, 2012?
2012, yeah.
Yeah, 2012. And talking with a friend of mine, and he was blown away by, I mean, all of us were, but he was like sitting there, he's just gushing over the movie. He's like, "This has never been done before. They took Captain America, they took Iron Man, they took Thor, and they took all these franchises, and they linked them up together into one big movie. Now it's this connected universe." And it was like the first time it had ever been done in this fashion. And I was like, I could do that, but with books. And so I have now, and like, none of these other worlds have been created yet in the books, but I have now created, and Heroes and Thieves is now the start point of, it's basically Iron Man of my literary universe, where I have created everything from the beginning of time. The world is called Zalia. And so the book series that are all connected in Zalia are called the Zalian Chronicles. And I have created everything from the beginning of time all the way to the end of the world. And it's going to be 10 volumes. And Heroes and Thieves is number 3 in chronological order, not in, or timeline order. I mean, not like in how they were written, because it's a good first place to start off with, because the first series is really trippy. But yeah, I started forming that together, and it's still coming. It's coming together still. I hope to, in 2027, starting the next series, even though Heroes and Thieves isn't finished yet, because I still have 6 more books to finish before that's completed. But I hope to start at the very beginning of the next series that's called Recry. which is basically just a jumble of letters I put together because it sounded cool. But the actual first book series or the first book that I published was Scoefield. And
Yes, I
because,
remember Scoefield.
yes, now the reason for that is because, as a Christian, I believe that God deserves the first fruits. And, like in the Bible, it talks about give God the first fruits, give God the first of what you have. And most people attribute that to money, as they should, because we should tithe. God gave us the ability to earn that money. That the tithe belongs to Him. So you should, when you get your paycheck, you give Him the first. But I also thought God deserves, this is going, because He was my passion. And later it became my calling because I realized I could do more with this than just entertain people. But I wanted to give God a book first, because Heroes and Thieves is very Lord of the Rings-y, where it's like, yes, there are pictures of Christianity in it. It's pretty obvious. It's very much like Tolkien's Lord of the Rings, but it's not as pointed, obvious. Maybe that's the right word. And I just thought, I want to give a book out there that teaches people an aspect of who God is. And that was Scoefield. And I also loved World War II, the stories around World War II. So I thought to myself, because I was like a week where I was watching a bunch of World War II movies, and I'm like, man, there's such valor, such courage, such great things that happened, like terrible things that happened in World War II, but there were great men and women that stepped up to face such evil. And so I was thinking, I want to make a World War II story. But then as I started writing it, I'm like, I can't start in World War II because I have to give these guys a background first. And most of those people, and I have nothing but respect for them, but most of those people that fought in World War II had to live through the Great Depression. And that's what Scoefield is. It's the Great Depression. And it was a terrible time. And so often God puts us through hard times to shape us or to humble us so that we come to Him, because when we're on our high horse, we don't think we need anybody. And I think there were so many people that were willing to step up, because you just think about D-Day. D-Day was a horrific experience for certain beaches. There were some that it went fine, but we think about the ones where there was just awful. But there were men that were like 17 years old that jumped off of a boat and ran on a shore with gunfire raining down on them. And they had courage because they had gone through some trials and that they had experienced something that God was shaping them for, so they could do something great. And that's why I wanted to make this series. It was originally going to end with just these two books, because this is the Great Depression, and this is Engel is book 2. It's World War II. But as I came to know these characters a little bit more, because every writer will tell you that as they start to form their characters actually start to influence them. And they start to actually weave the story itself a little bit. So I realized there were more books that were needed out of this series, and hence came Bloom, which is post-World War Germany, which actually there's not a lot of talk about, actually, because it was so hard to research it, to be honest with you. World War II, super easy. There's so much documentation. But then when I'm trying to look up about the Berlin blockade or the Berlin airlift, it was difficult to research that because nobody cares about what happened in Germany after World War II. But I feel like we should know about the struggles that people had to go through afterwards. It is so tragic what some people had to live through. The German people, civilians and stuff, they were starving because of the state that their country was in. And there were so many people that didn't care because they were German, because they were affiliated with Hitler, and because they were German. So people saw them as evil, or they saw them as of no value. There were so many that did, not everybody, because, there were courageous. I'm sorry, I got to talk about this a bit. The Berlin airlift. It's when half of Berlin was shut down by the Soviet Union and basically left to die. And all the other Allied forces were forbidden from going there in on the land, on through the waterways. They were completely shut down. Russia said, "You come in here, it's basically a declaration of war." Nobody wants a war after World War II. Everyone's like, "No, we don't want that again." But the sky was open. Nobody could like say you can't have the sky. So what these guys did is they flew in and dropped packages so that the people living in that side of Berlin could survive for about a year. They did this for a full year until Russia was like, I don't care. Just open it back up again. And it's like, that is amazing right there. And I feel like we should teach more about that as well.
That sounds like a great premise for a movie.
Oh, right. This would be great. I mean, like not even just leave my book out of it altogether. I would love to hear a based off of true events movie of the Berlin airlift. That would be great because there were people that did die doing that because of storms. It knocked down their planes and stuff like that. It was a very courageous thing to do.
Yeah.
But
let's get an adaptation of that story, and then let's get the Scoefield trilogy adaptation.
I would take it as long as I am, able to monitor, because I want to make sure they do it right.
Of course, naturally, yeah. I remember Scoefield when you published Scoefield, and props to you, man. Like, just not even just the fact that you published a book, but the number of books. I mean, I remember, like, just so people realize this, like, I remember sitting on the bus with you going to school, hearing about Heroes and Thieves, and to see you like bring it to fruition is it's just a really cool thing to see, and I'm really proud of you. Like, again, the number of books, like, that's just I feel like that's just unheard of for an independent author. And again, like what we talked about earlier, you're independent. You don't have the backing, you don't have the following, or even the manpower that you should have for the number of the work that you've done. But the fact that you've done it by yourself, and I'm sure with a few other people assisting along the way, like, that's something to be very proud of.
Oh, well, thank you. But I will say the number of books I've made is not unheard of. It's actually rather common among self-published authors. There's whole groups on Facebook of us trying to help each other out. But you'll see certain people out there that because some people have good situations where maybe their spouse works, and so they're able to do it more fully. But you'll see some people being like, "All right, did my 20th book this year." Like I actually wrote and finished 20 books in 1 year, and I'm like, I can barely do 5.
Wow, that's crazy. I guess for me, like someone who doesn't know much about the independent publishing world, that's just crazy. I mean, that's like writing to me that's like writing 5 or 6 scripts in 1 year, which I can barely write one right now.
Well, I will say that there's also, again, balance is key, because being able to dish out a whole bunch of books at once is not necessarily a good thing, because you have a process you need to go through and you want it to be quality, not quantity.
Absolutely.
So I have been told, I have a group of authors that I really like to work with, and I have been told that I am the fastest writer among them. But yeah, again, I do miss a lot of editing problems, and that's why I have my own editor, and she is very good. So actually, I have 2 editors. And
nice.
I'm very thankful for them.
Nice. So for anybody looking to check out the Heroes and Thieves series, give them like an overview. Like, what's the story? What is Heroes and Thieves? Excuse me. What is Heroes and Thieves about?
Heroes and Thieves. Okay. So really, I always had in mind these 3 characters: a thief, and this is all in medieval era. A thief, a princess, and a knight. That was always the idea. I had to change it because there was a big creative overhaul I did back in like 2008. But basically, it's story that follows this thief. His name is Nathan, and he basically just accidentally gets himself involved in a war, and the princess of his nation needs his help, and obviously she has her knight there with her. So it comes down to the golden trio, because every story needs the three main characters that always get themselves into trouble. It's in Harry Potter, it's in Lord of the Rings, it's in all of those. But when it comes down to it, there are two nations that are at war, and Nathan comes from the nation Ferandar, and the princess of Ferandar, named Sophia, has been captured. Obviously done so as to, sway the nation to surrender. He is able to help her escape. All the while, an assassin has been sent after them that Nathan knows personally from his history. And of course, he has the tragic backstory and everything. But as it unravels, because, the first two books are really good as a kind of like, how do I want to say this? Like they have a satisfying ending, but the series still continues. And this coming, let's see, what day is it? Yeah, we only have like less than a week. On August 1st, we have the Heroes and Thieves Protector Edition coming out, which actually will have the first two books in one. So it actually can conclude nicely there for you. It's going to be The Noble Bandit, talking about Nathan, and then the second book, Heroes and Thieves, A Bundle of Fools. Of course, we have more books that go on from there, but those are the ones that really started off. I don't want to give you too much because, got to read to find out what happens. But I will say that book 3 starts a whole other trilogy that Nathan gets himself all involved in. Oh, and it's good, if I do say so myself. I mean, I wrote it, but I like it too. I like to read it, I forget who it was. I think actually it was either Tolkien or C.S. Lewis, but they said, write books that you want to read. And I did.
Yeah. I mean, people say that same thing about movies, like for filmmakers like myself, like make the movie you haven't seen that you've always wanted to see, the movie that your favorite movie that you haven't seen yet. And
good
that's
advice.
what I'm working on right now. Yeah. So I agree with that. How many of your characters are based on real people or your friends or people you've met in life?
All right. When I started out writing, I did that everywhere because I was like, oh, when I become big and famous, I can say like, oh yeah, this person represents this person represents this person. But there was one time where let's see, this is back in my college years, where someone messed that up because I didn't find this out until later, but you can actually get into some legal trouble because of that. Because if you do something with a said character that represents a real person, and you do something with them that they don't like, they can say, this person is defaming me or something along those lines. So I do not do that anymore. Right.
Yeah.
That was never my intention. I'm just writing a story.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, if your character dies, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, there's ways to get around that without being explicit about, oh, that's so and so who was mean to me in life, or that's my ex-girlfriend or whatever. I asked because I'm pretty sure I remember you gave me a character.
I did. Don't come suing me. But I did give you a character. Actually,
did I die? Am I a piece of crap?
I think you're comic relief.
I like that. I'll dig that.
Let's see.
Nick, I am not a funny person. I am suing you.
But you show up in book 3, and I think you'll come back up in book 5. That's what I have planned so far. Nope. That's wrong. Book 6. Sorry.
Okay.
Book 5 is a different place.
Okay, cool. I'm coming in 3s.
Yeah, basically.
What's my character's name again?
That would be Ekniv, which to everyone out there, spins backwards, so you'll know
Yep.
who he is.
I remember
Yep.
that. I think my wife and I we were talking about recently, like, oh, what are our names backwards? And I was like, wait a minute, didn't
Yep,
Nick use that for
I
Heroes and
did.
Thieves?
I did.
Am
I
I
did
in
that
the
with a couple
books? I wa-
characters.
well, I look forward to getting around to book 3 and 6 down the road and finding out what
Well,
Ekniv gets up to.
I'm writing book 5 right now, so he's not in that one because it's based in a completely different place. Um, but yeah, I think I did give you gambling issues, so there is that. You're a gambler.
Oh my gosh, that's hysterical.
Yeah, you're a soldier. You're a soldier that got into debt, and so you got like the short end of the stick, and you got thrown in with the group that your general thought was all going to die. So,
Oh my
but you didn't.
gosh, that's
So, congratulations. Though I
that
probably shouldn't be
that's so
saying too much.
hilarious. No, that's I you don't have to say anymore. Like I'm sold. I will
All
say,
right.
my wife and I go to the casino every now and then,
Oh
gamble about
no,
$100, and then we pull out.
it's
That's
coming true. Oh no.
it's yeah,
But yeah.
history. Yeah, fiction becomes history.
Oh yeah, I didn't even know that. Yeah, but Wapia's rebirth. That's where good old Eknath comes in. But I will say you don't have a huge part. Sorry.
No, hey, to have a part is an absolute honor. So thank you
Yeah.
for keeping me in your books.
Yeah, you're welcome.
That's
But yeah, sorry.
fantastic.
I have if for anyone who's read A Bundle of Fools, there's a huge cast of characters. It was so dumb of me to do that. So yeah, there's probably going to be some people that are killed off. So I do apologize. If that
Don't
happens
get
to
too
yours,
attached.
don't get too attached. No, there's certain ones with plot armor. Everyone else is vulnerable.
Yeah. What are the inspirations? Has inspired? I mean, you talked a lot about C.S. Lewis and Tolkien and Lord of the Rings,
Yes,
and
yes,
I've known you for a long time. I know that those are big influences on you. But what else?
absolutely.
What are the other inspirations? Whether they're books, movies, TV shows, art, like what inspires your stories, the stories you like to tell?
Well, as I referenced already, Sinbad was a big one for Heroes and Thieves. That's kind of what started it all off. But when
Hmm.
it came to the Christian aspect of it, because it was for so long, I had this thought of, I can't write a fictional world and have Christianity in it, because then people will think, oh, I'm saying Christianity is fictional. But I realized later on where it's like, just because something is in a fictional world does not mean that thing is fictional. Because, for instance, shoes. Shoes are in almost every fictional thing you can think of. And shoes are not fictional, they are very much real.
Sometimes they're not
So,
even called shoes.
indeed. But so I thought to myself, I can put my Christian worldview in this, and I actually have a uh, I mean, I don't know how to say this, and I'm trying to be as respectful as I can because I'm trying to be very reverential to uh, Jesus and God. But I do have a deity in the Zalian Chronicles that represents Jehovah God.
Mm.
But when it comes to
Kind of like
inspirations for this,
Aslan in Narnia, right?
bingo, that's exactly right.
Hmm. Yeah,
I got
I
the
see that.
Christian, yeah, and I got the Christian aspect a lot from Tolkien, and there was one other place. It was actually called. It was a movie. I only saw it once, but it was a good movie. It was called Saints and Soldiers. It was like a World War II story, which of course I always love World War II films and movies and stories. And it was very much a World War II story, but it was also a World War II story that had faith in it. And I'm like, I loved how they balanced the things. And so that's when I realized I can put the two together. And so, but for when it comes to story wise, there's so much that all got poured in there. Um, the two biggest, I think, would be actually Avatar: The Last Airbender. Phenomenal show.
Yes, I remember
Um,
many conversations about Avatar.
oh yeah, the storytelling is top notch. They are very good storytellers. I mean, not
Indeed.
everything in there is a golden nugget, but like a lot of it is just fabulous. And also, I'm going to try not to get too spoilerish with this, because there are, well, I might as well just say it. Because actually it says in the intro, so yeah, I'll say it. There are the characters that are called the Varcoen in the Zalian Chronicles and Heroes and Thieves that basically are just avatars because they can manipulate the elements. Now it's different. It's different because they don't. It's not just earth, wind, fire, and water. It's actually, in mine, you have 6, which is funny too because one of the characters actually points out, well, one of those is just like, because I put in their ice as one of the elements, and one of those guys is like, that's just cold water. But I actually base it more off of the human body, to be honest, because there are what I believe, like, and I'm, it's a fictional world, so take it with a grain of salt. But there are 6
it's your
elements
world.
to the human body. Yeah, but there's you need food and water to survive. So there's water, and then the food comes from the earth. Whether it's meat. Meat is made from the dust of the ground, as in the beginning of creation, or if it's actually like crops, which actually come from the earth. So there's water and earth. Then there's you have heat that keeps you, 98.6 is the normal temperature of most people. So there's heat, which is fire, but you also have coolness because your body regulates temperature. So you're not just all heat. It's also, you keep yourself cool as well. So there's the ice. Then there's electricity, like through the nervous system, which is the lightning. And then lastly, of course, you have air to breathe. So there's the 6 elements of the human body, and the Varcoen are able to manipulate all of them, which makes them incredibly versatile and incredibly powerful. So a lot of that came from Avatar: The Last Airbender, but I tweaked it a little bit. Other inspirations, complicated storytelling, that came from Kingdom Hearts. If any of you played Kingdom Hearts, like, oh, it's so confusing.
It's funny. You keep mentioning things that inspire you, and I'm like, yep, I remember that on the bus, remember that on the bus, remember that on the bus. I remember extensively talking with you about Kingdom Hearts.
Oh man, Kingdom Hearts, it's so good, but it's so confusing sometimes. But it's a very good game series.
I checked it out once I found out there was a level where you can play in the world of Toy Story, and I was like, I am in.
I felt like you would be. There is actually one book series I would like to mention. Well, there's 2, but there's one I would specifically like to mention because this is what started me on my path to do the writing that I do, because I don't see this very often. But I'll show you an example here. All right. So I like to write with my character's points of view, but it changes. Like this one is for Nathan. This one is for Sophia. So the narration changes, and it always comes from the character's point of view. I got that from the Animorphs series by K.A. Applegate, and I loved that because I thought it was unique, and I thought it was so interesting because, like, you as the reader, you have all the information, but the characters don't, and so you get to see them how they would react in their own way. Now, is it hard? Yes, because there are certain portions I have to think like a 16-year-old girl, and it's very difficult. But I wanted to make sure I implemented that. I already talked about Avengers being a good inspiration for it all coming together, but again, we won't see that probably until 2027 and on.
Is that the culmination? Are you working on a culmination of all the characters and the stories that intersect within here? Like, is there a Avengers Infinity War that you're building up to?
Technically, yes, but I'm scared I won't get to it before I die. Because, as I've said, there's 10 different series ranging from the beginning of time to the end of the world. And it's not really a spoiler because the last series, the ending series, which will be called The Witnesses, is about the end of time where For anyone who's read the Bible, it's basically the book of Revelation, but in the Zalian Chronicles version. And at the end of time, just talking about the book of Revelation, basically Satan wages his war against all Christians and all Jews. But then Jesus will come back and basically take out all of Satan and his followers. And so I have this moment at the end of the series where the last survivors, and some of them are very old because there are certain races that live for thousands of years. So there actually might be, hint, hint, a character in this Heroes and Thieves series that does actually show up in the Witnesses, but they're all basically just trying to survive as Satan's version in my story. His name is Slignus, or otherwise known as Droll. That's what he's called by like the older creatures. Most people call him Slignus, and I just like the name Slignus because it sounded so slimy. But he's trying to basically just kill them all. And then all of a sudden, the Zalian Chronicles version of Jesus shows up, and he shows up with past characters that have gone on, and they all come back, and it's like a whole combination of all these different characters together fighting this awesome battle. And I think I have this character who's very like, I don't know, like teenager of our generation, or like teenager of this generation right now. That's like, he sees this like awesome, you know, like all these people that he knows about, he's read in history books, come back, and the first thing he does is he goes like, with like his phone to like take a selfie with them in the background. I'm just like, that's something that I feel like some people would do.
Wow. Well, that is quite the event to build up to. I can't wait to see how that. I can't wait to start reading Heroes. I haven't read it yet, but I do intend to get a copy and read Heroes and Thieves, and I can't wait to see that culmination, because that seems like a cool way to bring back old characters without necessarily like
cool.
resurrecting them.
Oh yeah, I'm not really super fond of resurrecting characters because I feel like it cheapens their sacrifice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I understand that for sure. What are your upcoming? So you've released how many books? So you've released all 3 books in the Scoefield trilogy, and how many books so far in the Heroes and Thieves trilogy, or not trilogy, the series?
Well, I actually do have one more coming in the Scoefield series. It's going to make the. So yeah, we're going to have one more, and that is coming next year, hopefully.
A quartet.
Indeed. Because basically, so we have the Great Depression, we have World War II, we have post-World War II Germany, and then the last one, I wanted to focus on the next generation, because for all of those who have read these, the front picture is actually the main characters of like the 3 books. These 3 is Henry, Scoefield, and Sarah. They're like, they all are there from the very beginning, and I wanted the last book to be the next generation. And I focus on some things because each Scoefield book deals on a spiritual issue, and then it deals on a more of a physical, I guess, a physical issue. For instance, Engel, the second book, it deals on salvation, but also it deals on smoking, because smoking is a terrible vice in our country and it should not be done. So I wanted to preach against that a little bit. But
yes,
so we're going. So one thing I realized I didn't touch on is because a lot of the times in these 3 books, there's someone that needs to be saved, that someone needs to be witnessed to, and someone needs to realize that they need Jesus. But I'm like, I never touched on a Christian that backslides. So this upcoming book, we're going to deal with backslidden Christians. And so that's coming, hopefully, December of 2026. When it comes to the Heroes and Thieves series, I have 4. We have The Noble Bandit, A Bundle of Fools, and then we start the Clapian trilogy, which starts with Clapia's Rebirth, 2 Wastelands, and then book 5 is going to be the finale of the Clapian trilogy. It's going to be so good. I'm so excited. That's going to be called Warring Hearts. That is coming this next June. I like in a past video, for those of you who have heard me before, I said it was going to be May. I gave myself another month because it's such a huge book. I'm seriously at 300 pages, and I only have 4 chapters done. So it's going to be a huge book. We're talking Aragon-sized book.
Wow. So you have so you have 2 books coming out next year. One to wrap up the Scoefield series, and one the continuing adventures of the Heroes and Thieves saga.
Yeah, we're getting to the halfway done with Heroes and Thieves after this one. So yeah, it's gonna be exciting.
Nice. That's awesome. Well, yes. So you also did a like a push for like a sale. I don't know if that you did like a sale of some kind. I don't know if that's still going on or not, but you also announced like some special editions of some of your books, right?
Yes. I don't have a picture of it with me. I was hoping I ordered a copy, but it didn't get here in time. It's supposed to arrive
send me a picture and I'll put it up on the screen.
Sure. Yeah. I'll do that. If I can unlock my phone. But
you don't have to do it right now. After the show when we're done.
Gotcha. Makes sense. But it's called the Heroes and Thieves Protector Edition, and it's going to be it's a special edition. As I said before, it combines the Noble Bandit and a Bundle of Fools together in one book, but also has a huge amount of bonus material. It walks through the makings of Heroes and Thieves, it has a commentary on a lot of the stuff that goes on in there as well. If you like reading book commentaries, which I don't know. And that also has unused art that I have that I never used, and so I thought I'll put it in there. You can see some stuff, and even some fan art. So yeah, it's going to be exciting too. It even has a map of all of Zalia, because so far the map that we have of the Heroes and Thieves section only deals with one section, and it's in black and white, but that's Dodonark, which is the land that Heroes and Thieves deals with. But there's a map in the Protector Edition that shows all of Zalia, so that's going to be exciting as well.
Wow.
And then I have one last book that this is coming out. The Protector Edition is coming out August 1st, and so it's going to be expensive. Yes, this year. It's going to be expensive though because it's huge. It's like I have to make it like 8 by 11 because I'm combining these 2 books together. But it's going to be it's a big book. Like you can whack somebody with it, but I don't advise that.
That's a good selling point. Like, hey, you can read a good story, and then when you're done, you can be a self-defense weapon.
That's right. You can stop a knife probably. But then also the other one that I wrote recently. This is coming out August 15th of this year. Is The Polish Ghost, another World War II story. It's a mix between an action story and a romance story. Clean romance, of course. But it's about, and it's funny. It's funny, so interesting because I think, a Polish woman that actually messaged me today, and she's like, "I want to hear about this book," and so I'm like, "Sweet."
That's great.
I mean, like, she didn't actually say she was Polish or not, but her last name looks very Polish, and if you've seen any Polish writing or Polish names, you know what I mean. But
good assumption.
Yeah, well, I don't want to assume, but it seemed like it because she's like, I want to see this book. I want to see what you're saying, and I'm like, I hope I did right. But this book it was actually my first attempt at being a ghostwriter because this book was originally not going to be for me. It was going to be for another author down south that wanted a World War II story. And so I wrote it, but unfortunately she was not able to continue with it. So she very kindly gave it back to me. And so now I'm publishing it, and we'll see how it does. This
nice.
August 15th, it's coming out, and we get to see, I should probably give a little bit of the premise. It's a story about a young Polish man that in the very beginning of Hitler's march across Poland, the invasion of Poland, he defends his village in order to, save the people he loves, but very specifically to save the woman he loves, because the first half of it deals a lot with him and this other Polish girl falling in love. So you get both action and romance if you're into that.
2 of my favorite genres. Can't wait.
Yeah.
All right. Well, is there well, I guess uh, last question before we wrap up.
All right, understood.
I like to ask guests this. I don't always ask it, but it just came to mind, so I'll ask you. Because
Hmm.
I always think finding out someone's favorite movie, I think, tells a lot about them, their interests, their personality. So, favorite movie and why?
Hard to narrow it down to just one. I have multiple favorite movies. Do I have to choose just one?
You can choose a top three. Top three.
Top three. I'll take that. Top three. Okay. I would say, obviously, Lord of the Rings is, and I mean, like the whole thing, because you can't just watch one. But Lord of the Rings is definitely up there because of just, it's just, it's just so good. Tolkien knew what he was doing, and he really set the stage for fantasy novels for basically even up until this day. He wrote it back in like the 1950s. So definitely Lord of the Rings. Um, I'm talking about the book, but also the movies. The movies are great too. Yeah, you mentioned movies. I'm sorry,
Yeah,
but yes, movies were fantastic, absolutely. And they were nominated for like what? How many Oscars?
I couldn't even tell you, but a lot more
They,
than most
fabulously
fantasy
done.
films.
Fabulously done. And I've got to say, favorite part of the entire movie, and I think many people will agree with me, but it's got to be the Rohirrim charge in Return of the King. Absolute favorite moment. Just gives me
Mm-hmm.
chills every time. But other favorite movies, two others. I'm gonna pick four. I have to pick four because all right, there's
It's all right.
Courageous. Now this more goes to my faith because Courageous was made by Sherwood Pictures, I think it's called. But it's a story about police officers, and it's a movie about fathers. And I watched that, and I'm not going to give any spoilers because there's probably a good amount of people that haven't seen it. But it brought me to tears with what goes on in that movie. And one of my greatest fears, like no, my greatest fear, my number one greatest fear, is failing as a father because now failing as a husband is definitely huge, huge thing up there as well. But I always know that my wife, you know, she's an equal with me. She understands things. She has wisdom. She has knowledge that my children do not. And right now, I am the man that is trying to raise up my children to love God and to be good citizens of this world. And that responsibility is daunting. And I realize if I mess up, if I fail, if I allow, for instance, like my emotions, my temper, my laziness to get a hold of me, I can shape the rest of their lives in a very, very negative manner. And that is terrifying. And this movie talks about that. And it calls fathers forth. It's like, you need to step up. You need to be a man that will be there for your children and show them what it is to either to be a man or to be the kind of man, like for daughters, to be the kind of man you want to marry. And it's just such a good movie. I recommend it highly. And then last two, because these two, it's of the Disney universe, and I can never say which one is better because they're both masterpieces. There'd be Lion King and Beauty and the Beast. And actually, I
Mm.
love them both for the same reason. I love redemption stories because both of them have that. In Lion King, we have the fallen prince who ran away and who sees himself as nothing. And actually, I mean, I actually wrote a letter to James Earl Jones when he was still alive about this. Um, he sent it back, so I don't know if he read it. But
Oh,
yeah, it was at the point where he basically said, "I'm no longer receiving fan mail. Thank you, but no thank you." And
oh
it was
man.
that. But um, in my from my point of view, when Simba is called back by his father, I see that as a very Christian thing, because whenever I fail or whenever I fall or whenever I find myself in sin, whenever I choose to sin, I like that is how God reaches back to us. And even the words can be used in such a Christian manner where he says, Simba, you have forgotten me. And us being in Simba's place being, how could I forget you? And it's like, you've forgotten who you are. So you've forgotten me. You are, and so in that point of view, it's you are a child of God. If you forget that, you forget me. And he says, look inside you, Simba. There is more than what you have become. You must take your place, and not as king, but it's like you need to come back, and you need to choose repentance. You need to be forgiven, and then just remember who you are. Now that's a bit of a stretch, because we're not supposed to remember that who we are, because we're nothing, but it's remember what God has done for us and done to us. He has redeemed us. His spirit resides in us. And so now we are no longer to live in sin. And it's just so beautiful. It makes me cry every time, because I see it I can't unsee it in that light anymore. But also just the story of redemption is so beautiful to me. And also with Beauty and the Beast, the part that gets me is because you see the Beast, and in the past I've struggled with anger as well. And the Beast is an extreme case where he destroys things every time there's a small inconvenience. But I love the scene where he has been he has been shot and been attacked by Gaston. Now, anyone could say you have justification to take care of him, take him out, because he is there to kill you. And in the moment, Beast is about to throw him off the castle. He's going to throw him off to his death. And Gaston very pitifully says, "Let me go, please. Don't hurt me." And that moment when Beast is sitting there and he's consumed with his rage, but then you see that as he realizes, this is not what I want to be. This is not what Belle would want me to be. And the music with it, just it is Disney at its finest, and I just cannot get over those parts. It is. I mean, there's other great parts about it. There's the comedy. There's the art design, so great. But those are the two parts that are just like, this is what storytelling is. To see someone who learns from his mistakes, to see someone who takes up the courage to do something that he does not want to do. And that is what I love about telling stories. That is what I love about experiencing stories in the form of movies. Brilliant stuff.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, Lord of the Rings. What more can be said other than just it's near perfection when it comes to fantasy storytelling. I've seen
Books could be
Courageous.
written.
Yeah, yeah, the books too. I've seen
But I
Courageous. I
was
don't.
saying, like, oh, sorry.
No, it's all right. I've seen Courageous. I don't think it spoke to me and maybe the same way that it spoke to you. I haven't seen it in
It's fair.
over a decade, maybe, but I may have to revisit it. And then 100% agree on Lion King and Beauty and
Mm,
the Beast, but I have to say I've
mm,
not seen it in the lens in which you just described it. You just kind of gave it a lot more depth than even I was. And I think those are like beautiful, like
mm,
Lion King is like near perfection as far as
mm,
not even just animated storytelling, but storytelling. But
mm,
yeah, I think it is really nice. It's really cool when we can see um, God in storytelling that is not necessarily meant to be overtly Christian anyway. Because I think
mm.
if God is the creator of the universe, He's also the creator of story, and you're going to see
Amen.
seeds of God in everything. in all of creation. Any art that is good, true, and beautiful, worthy of praise and honor, you're gonna find God. You just are.
Mm,
So I can't wait to watch those last two films with that context in mind.
it's good stuff. Good stuff.
Yeah,
Maybe get back to the Disney that was in the '90s.
yeah. I'm surprised you didn't mention Aladdin.
I love Aladdin, but I love it for its comedy. And not that, comedy is absolutely amazing to have, but the stories that move me the most aren't necessarily funny. And it's almost like what
Sure.
Solomon says, where it's like, and I am just paraphrasing, but he says in Ecclesiastes, um, it's better to be in the house of sorrow than in the house of laughter, because in sorrow, that is where we gain wisdom and that is where we learn. Laughter is necessary because, I mean, Solomon also said in Proverbs that a merry heart doeth good like a medicine. So laughter is absolutely essential to our lives, but it is in sorrow that we gain wisdom and we gain that depth. And that is what moves me so much. And I like Aladdin is a masterpiece as well. But those two are the ones that really hit home.
Yeah, yeah. For those who are asking why I'm mentioning Aladdin, it's because Nick can do a near perfect Robin Williams genie impression.
Oh no. Well, I've actually had I had a friend in Washington, I think, who sent that to I might be wrong about this because it's been a little while, but I think he sent it to a guy who actually is a Robin Williams impersonator, and the guy was like, he's okay.
Oh man. Well, you could have fooled me. So, all right. Well, Nick, this has been great.
It has.
I've been really pushing to have guests on that not just are in the entertainment industry, but really uh, have a unique perspective on things and are willing to talk about the uncomfortable things that people don't want to talk about. And you're great friend, you're pure storyteller through and through. And I'm honored to know you, are honored to have you on the show, and genuinely am excited to dive into your books.
Well, thank you, and likewise, absolutely, Vince. It's great to catch up with you again. It's great to talk with you once more. Miss you.
I miss you too, man. Yeah, I'll let you know when I'm back in your neck of the woods, and hopefully we can see each other in
Hey,
person.
absolutely, I'd love to. And let me know
All
what you
right.
think of the books.
I will. I will. Yeah. Where can people find you online if they want to support you and your books?
All right, my website is krohnstories.storyad.com. That's where you can find and purchase my books. There's other content there as well if you want to find out more stuff about it. I am also on Facebook and Instagram. You can just look up Krohn Stories, kind of like that, Krohn Stories books. I post a lot of memes, and I post other information there if you want to catch up. Lately, the memes, starting with the Iron Giant meme, that got a lot of views. So apparently, the people are starting to really like the memes. But yeah, you can
Gotta love a
also.
good meme.
Oh, absolutely. And I've been called a meme Jedi, and I accept that title. But you can also catch me at if you want to send me a message, krohnstories@gmail.com. So yeah, feel free to send a message or take a look if you're interested.
Awesome. Well, yeah, we'll make sure all that's linked in the description of this episode. And as
Thank
for
you.
me, guys, you can find me Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all those places. Also linked in the bottom of in the description of this episode. Nick, thanks again for being on.
A
And
genuine pleasure.
great. Well, I'll have to have you on again soon.
I would love to.
All right. Again, guys, follow Nick. Support him, buy his books, the Scoefield series, the Heroes and Thieves series, and everything else he's doing. Thanks again for watching or listening to the podcast. Until next time, God bless and peace out.